Welcome back to the Power Mom Minute podcast. This week, I wanted to take a moment to pause, take a breath, and reflect on the last 6 months and talk about how to move forward through the rest of 2020. Since I've been reading a lot about sleep training, we're going to take what I call a pause in life right now to stop, assess the present, think about the future, and how to get there. I'm all about feedback loops, which I talk about for business, but I think that can be applied to our lives also. And if you don't know what that means, stay tuned. I promise you will get through the rest of 2020. And now let's talk about how. Welcome to the Power Mom Minute. I'm your host, Stephanie Uchima Carney, and I'm a modern day business mama who believes you can have it all. This podcast is all about going behind the scenes of the lives and businesses of successful moms in business in order to uncover the daily rituals, life lessons, real life tactics, and favorite tools that you as a mom can use to apply to your daily life and business. It is my mission to educate, empower, and inspire moms like yourself to build your dream business while having the freedom and flexibility to enjoy life to the fullest. Power Moms, it's time to rule the world. Now let's get started. Now, before we get started, you might have heard a few episodes on the podcast recently from the Pregnancy and Parenting in a Pandemic live series, where I interviewed 17 experts covering different topics ranging from fertility to mindfulness to health and fitness, child anxiety, homeschooling, working from home, productivity, and more. These experts share tangible tools, tactics, and strategies to help you survive as a parent, not just now during the pandemic, but in the future while you navigate parenthood. If you haven't listened to these episodes or want to hear them all, sign up for free access to all 17 expert sessions at parentingpandemicseries.com. Again, parentingpandemicseries.com. Okay, mamas, it's time to sit down and talk about the reality of the rest of 2020. And so today's episode, I want to talk about feedback loops and how I'm applying what I do for my business to also my life. So this week, I had a big moment. My little pandemic baby turned 6 months old. And I kind of had this wow moment where I realized not only is she 6 months old, but this girl has not been out into the real world or met out anyone outside our little family. I also started to realize that my son has 3 days of in-person preschool left and that kindergarten distance learning is starting in only 3 weeks, and I'm going to have 3 kids at home, distance learning, and all of this going. So I decided that this would be a great episode to talk about how to stop, reassess, and figure out how the rest of 2020 should go. So how exactly do you move forward then? I like to use feedback loops. And what does that mean? It's stopping and assessing what worked, what didn't work, what you should continue doing, why they did or didn't work, and the effects. If you don't have awareness of where you are in this present moment, how are you even going to figure out how to move forward? So I've been using feedback loops for the last couple years in my business. I've been doing it quarterly and tried to do it even every 2 weeks, which is what we were supposed to do. But it's really helped to reassess and recalibrate every single step of the way to make sure that we're not continuing to do things that are either draining for our business or that are just not working. But this can totally apply to being a mom and to everything going on in your life at home. Every year I have a quote word of the year, and at the end of 2019, I deemed that my word of the year for 2020 was going to be surrender. And not surrender in the fact of giving up, but surrender in the definition that you allow yourself to be what is right in front of you, to stop forcing and to focus really on trust and survival. At the time, I was going into having my third baby, and I knew that I would have to take a pause in my work, and I would really have to figure out how am I going to make this all work. Little did I know that right after I would have her, COVID would hit, and so even more I was forced to surrender. So how do you actually apply these feedback loops to your life? Usually I would do it every 2 weeks after a business sprint or after every quarter to analyze my goals. But this time around, I wanted to apply feedback loops to my 3-month and 6-month baby period. Because at 3 months is when you're, quote, deemed ready to go back to work. Usually it's after maternity leave, but we were in the middle of COVID, so that was kind of weird. And then 6 months is where I decided, okay, 6 months in, we're really going to hunker down and figure out what is going on. And especially because school is starting and all of these other things are happening, I thought 6 months, which is right now, would be a great period of time. So figure out your time you want to stop and do these feedback loops, whether it's every couple weeks, every quarter, every 2 quarters, whatever that is. Let's walk through this process. The first step is to figure out what worked. For me, over the last 6 months, the 3 top things that worked were how to say no, how to eliminate distractions, and how to manage and prioritize my relationships. For me, some big changes happened. At the end of 2019, I decided to close my event planning company after having it for 10 years. It was one of those babies that I held onto for so long because I just didn't want to give it up. A lot of my past clients had reached out to me saying, Stephanie, will you do just one more year for me? And I had to say no because I knew I didn't have the capacity with a 3rd kid coming. Along with learning how to say no, I really honed in on creating my system for being able to analyze what to say yes to or no to. And I think I'll go through that in another episode because it's kind of a little process, but it really helped me streamline every time an opportunity came on my plate. How am I going to say yes to it or how am I going to say no to it? Because right now, for me, time is my most valuable resource. And so if I keep saying yes to things, I'm not going to be able to do it all. The second thing that worked was how to eliminate distractions. Along with saying no, quarantine has allowed me to eliminate a lot of those distractions. I've now become so laser focused on my goals, on what I want, what I have time for. And it's really because the pandemic has created the actual physical ability to eliminate things in my life. It's really forced me to rethink what's going on. Instead of running around after kid activity, it's made me stop to think about where we are in our family, what we have capacity for, what we enjoyed doing and what we didn't enjoy doing, and has allowed me to sort through that all. And the third thing, how to manage and prioritize my relationships. Because we are in quarantine, I've really had to hone in on who do I really want to be spending my time talking to. Now it's time for me to really cultivate those relationships. Who's aligned with my values? Who do I want to make the effort to talk to, keep in touch with? For me, quarantine has really done that. What didn't work over the last 6 months? No routine or schedule was my number one. I didn't prioritize that. I didn't prioritize that because I also felt like I was drowning and I had a newborn and I know I can make all the excuses in the world, but I realized that moving forward, not having a routine or schedule will not work for our family. So that's going to be something I focus on for how to move forward in 2020, which we'll get to that. Number 2, what didn't work was reading the news and social media in the morning. Waking up and reading everything that was going wrong in the world the first thing when I woke up was definitely not great on my mindset. So that is another thing that I am going to focus on changing as we move forward. There were a lot of things that didn't work in 2020, don't get me wrong. But the third thing was health and fitness. I gave myself 6 months postpartum to just be with my baby, be with the kids, and not really focus on myself. But I realized because I didn't focus on myself, I have so much shoulder trauma, neck trauma, everything is falling apart. And it's really because I didn't prioritize that. So how can we take all of this and move forward? I want you to think about all the things that worked for you and what you want to continue doing, and keep doing that. Prioritize those things. Figure out where on the list of importance those are and put those in your daily routines. And then think about all the things that didn't work and if you want to either get rid of them because they didn't work or you actually want to fix them. For me, all the things that didn't work in our life, I actually want to continue and fix. In summary, these are the top 5 things that can help everyone to move forward in 2020. There are things that I'm going to be doing and things that I believe will really help create a better, more stable path moving forward. The first is to continue to surrender. And again, I don't mean giving up. I just mean be open to what's in front of you and make those changes. Just continue to accept what's happening and make changes moving forward. The second is don't stop. Put your head down, keep swimming, be open to creative solutions. That's what I did. Even though I was on maternity leave, I decided to launch a new product because for me, I needed my mind to keep going. I needed something to keep moving myself forward. Don't stop. Don't stop doing things. Don't stop and panic. Just keep moving one step in front of the other, even if it's tough. You can do it. I know you can. The third thing to move forward in 2020 is, again, reassess what's important to you and why it's important. If it's not important, let it go. Say no, because you don't have time for that, mama. The fourth thing, along the lines of that, is elimination, but more in the sense of detoxing the things in your business, your life, social media, whatever that is draining your energy. So eliminate those energy vampires. For me, I know moving forward, I stopped reading the news in the first few hours of my day. I don't care if it makes me the person who doesn't know what's going on in the morning, but seriously, it has helped me so much. I can't continue being a positive person if everything that goes into my head during the first 2 hours of my day is just purely negative. And the last thing is focus on your needs. Focus on your family needs. Listen to your body. Focus on really what's most important to you, your family, your body, whatever that is. Those are the 5 things that I'm planning on doing to move forward in 2020. And I really think that it can apply to all the moms out there too. I know we're entering this crazy period, school starting, we're all thinking about the same things of how are we going to do this? Kids at home, distance learning, parents working, all of the things. But I think if you take time to really reassess all the stuff that didn't work, did work, all of that in the last 6 months and make a plan moving forward, I think you'll be able to start off the school year, start off the next few months of the year on a better foot. So mamas, I know you can do this. I know I'm struggling, but I'm trying every day. I think one step at a time. We can do this and we can do this together. Thank you so much for joining me this week, and I will see you next week. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Power Mom Minute podcast. Your support means the absolute world to me. You can find the show notes for the episode and other goodies over at powermomminute.com. And if you enjoyed this episode or have gotten value from the podcast, I'd be so grateful if you could head on over to iTunes and leave us a rating and review so that we can reach and empower more moms all over the world together. Each week, I will be reading some of those reviews on air, so stay tuned and you might just hear yours. Thank you so much again, beautiful mamas, and I'll see you here next time.